through your speakers, and he's
Sorry,
joining Chuck and I.
we weren't recording there.
Of course, you're recording. I can see my voice print, you bastard.
Yeah. Well, it just started. It started in the beginning of you saying
How many of these do you reckon we have to do before we
before.
somehow fall into a rhythm that one might confuse with competence? To be absolutely crystal clear, we are in fact recording now. Chris, thank you for joining us. First things first, you're down there in New Orleans. Everything okay? You survived the latest blow?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, okay is a vague term. I was actually telling a friend of mine when I came back right after the storm how completely psychotic we are. I drove into a dark city, no electricity, no gasoline, no ambulances, hospitals, policemen, grocery stores, nothing. And my first thought was, that's not so bad. Right? I've seen worse. It's like, there's something very wrong with that. Places south of us are destroyed. I don't want to not mention that. New Orleans is fine. Terrebonne Parish, Lafourche Parish, just decimated.
Just wiped out.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, what's it going to take for that town to say uncle? I mean, is it even capable of doing it? Like, where do you get to the point where resilience and denial collide?
Oh, I
don't
think we're
drink
right
bourbon in
there.
town.
They have overlapped. But love for this place and the devotion to it is mighty fierce. It's not a regular place. It's always been wrong. Like for 300 years, it was a stupid place to build a city. You know, Iberville and Bienville shouldn't have been here. Everyone knew it. The natives didn't live here because it's a stupid place to build a city. And they built it anyway. And if you read descriptions of New Orleans from like 1750, they sound like they were written last Thursday.
It's
like
the same thing.
Corrupt and wet and violent, and it's full of malaria and pirates. And it's like, yeah, that's
How I
what
would
it
call
is.
it.
Yeah. And also kind of magical. And so you get up in the morning and you cut the limbs off the house and you sweep the drive and hope for the best. And but the COVID thing, New Orleans immediately put on masks. Partly because, you know, it's a masking culture. It's try to stop the people of New Orleans from wearing masks. I dare you.
Mardi Gras.
Yeah, it's like
Mardi Gras
masks.
year-round now.
I've got hundreds of masks. Which one should I? That first week, we had 1 million tourists in New Orleans for Mardi Gras the week before the shutdown. And
Really?
I, in my stupid self and my 50 chums, was driving an electric-powered recliner through the streets of New Orleans for Mardi Gras as part of a parade. And, you know, you're not even up on the top of a float. You're like down at street level. And everybody, I must have high-fived 2,000 people. And people are shouting in your face. And not one of us.
Is that group called the Lazy Boys? Or
it is indeed, Chuck. How knew you this?
I Googled you earlier, and a YouTube video of the Lazy Boys showed up, and I saw these guys chugging down the street in recliners, and you must have been one of the dudes.
I am one of the dudes.
Were you one of the founding dudes?
I am actually the founding dude.
Oh.
Good grief. Well, you buried the lead. This is the place where we start, Chuck. Joining us today is the founder of the Lazy Boys.
That will be, for all my efforts, that will be my epitaph. That stupid little Mardi Gras club happened because I looked at my buddy, who's my accomplice in all things stupid. I looked at him and said, you know what? We're going to start one of these clubs. We're not marching. We're riding around in powered recliners dressed like lounge lizards. And he went, yeah. And 8 months later, we were in the biggest parades in Carnival because everyone here supports madness. You tell that to somebody here and like, heck yeah, I know a guy that's in charge of a parade. He'd love that. Like nobody looks at you like you're crazy. They look at you like, hey, that's a great idea. The stupider, the better. You ever heard of Ernie K. Doe?
No.
Ernie K. Doe was a soul singer in the 50s and 60s. He had a hit with the song Mother-in-Law. You know this?
Mother-in-law.
Yeah. Alan Toussaint song, I think. And it was a one-hit wonder, right? And that was it. That was his career. But he was from New Orleans, so he got a radio show on the local community radio station, WWOZ. And he is a larger-than-life personality. And he proclaimed himself Emperor of the Universe. K-Doe. He made up a catchphrase for himself, burn, K-Doe, burn, that people shouted at him when he walked by. Everyone embraced it. Everyone here was like, oh, you're the Emperor of the Universe? Right on. Burn, K-Doe, burn. So there's this Mardi Gras crew called the Crew de Vue, which is this very ribald, satirical crew that goes through the French Quarter. It's extremely naughty and political. It's wonderful. And they have a king every year, and it's somebody local. And one year it was K-Doe. And so they bought him a real king costume, like a full rabbit pelt, crown, the whole, like a king, because he's the Emperor of the Universe. And he rode as the head of the parade. He took it apparently completely seriously. And he was the king. And then he died that year. And he was laid in state in Gallier Hall. And Alan Toussaint and Harry Connick Jr. and all these musicians paid tribute. He had one hit in like 1958. They paid tribute to him. He was carried out of the Gallier Hall in the king costume in his casket and put in a chariot drawn by horses to go to the cemetery. He was treated like an actual emperor because he said, I'm the emperor of the universe. And everybody in New Orleans went, damn right. Sure. The whole city's like that. And I think that may have had some influence on me. Man, if one place is going to support your crazy delusions, this is that place.
Well, it's either
And
New Orleans or
crazy.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.